Dala Dhamma Jebe Dra Nobar Jebe Ge Tarbada Thamje Jebe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tham Jege Zu Jebe Ma Namkada Nambe Senjen Thamje Dewa Dhan Ten Tungyang Tandre Nerdu Lana Mepa Yang Dhabra Sobe Chanchu Rinpo Je Dobra Jo Tangwa jebe dra nobar jebe ge tarbada tamje gembe bardu jobra jeba tam jege su jebe ma nangkada nyambe senche tamje dewa dhan den dunga dangdu nidu lana me bhaya dabra zobe chanchu rinpo je dobra ja Dawa jebe dra nobar jebe ge tarba dhan tamje jembe bardu jobra jeba tam jege su jebe ma namkada nampe zenchen tamje dewa dhan de dungal dandre nerdo lana me ba yan dhabra zobe chanju rinpo je dobra je du sama ge ku bardu lunga yisum ge wala ku mashi bardu lunga yisum ge wala ku du derine sunte ne ma santa samji bardu lunga yisum ge wala ku Sonje Chodan Soji Chonam La Chanchu Pardu Dani Kyabsu Chi Dagi Jinsu Gibe Sonam Ki Drula Penchir Sanje Drubra Sho Sanje Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Pardu Dani Kyabsu Chi Dagi Jinsu Gibe Sonam Ki Drula Penchir Sanje Drubra Sho Sanje Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Pardu Dani Kyabsu Chi Dagi Jinsu Gibe Sonam Ki Drula Penche Sanje Drupra Shu Kadan Yampe Senchen Tamje Dewa Dang Dewen Kindan Dempra Gyunje Dumya Dang Dumya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyunje Dumya Mepe Dewa Dang Me Dewa Gyunje Nering Chadang Nidang Dewa Dang Nyala Nabra Gyunje Mo Kada Yampe Senchen Tamje Dewa Dang Dewen Kindan Dempra Gyunje Dumya Dang Dumya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyurje, Dunga Mepe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyurje, Nering Chadang Nidang Dewa Dangyong La, Nebra Gyurje, Manang Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tamje Dewa Dang, Dewa Gyundan Dembra Gyurje, Dunga Dang Dunya Gi, Gyudan Dewa Gyurje, Dunga Mepe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyurje, Nering Chadang Nidang Dewa Tanyan la nebra gyuje. Please turn to page 1 of the sadhana, beginning with the refuge in that sadhana. So instead of reading the translations for each of these sections, I am just going to kind of briefly summarize the gist of the chant, what we are saying in each particular section. Since we are an international Sangha, so I think it's best that together we chant in the Tibetan. But it is really important that, outside the context of a group practice, when you're practicing yourself, I think you should use your own language from time to time. But if you say, oh, no, 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 I really like to use Tibetan, okay, during your regular practice, you use the Tibetan. But it's really, really important that you also do your homework and actually read and understand, each section, what you're saying. Otherwise, you're like a parrot, just repeating the sounds with no understanding of what you're saying, and not much benefit. So in this refuge section, it says, outwardly, it's what we normally call the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Inwardly, it's the three kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. And then secretly, meaning on the most essential level, it's the channels, the winds, here translated as vital energies, and essences. So the union of all these is Achi Choki Droma. So to Achi Choki Droma, we take refuge, understanding that she is the embodiment of outer, inner, and secret aspects of refuge. So, so for this, you can imagine being in the presence of Achi. You can visualize you are in the presence of Achi. Achi in the form of Panya Paramita, seated with hands in a meditation posture, holding a volume of the Perfection of Wisdom text. She is youthful in the form of a 16-year-old, but it's the mother of all Buddhas of past, present, and future. So at the end of this refuge recitation, you visualize Achi, the single mother, dissolving and entering you from this middle point in between your eyebrows. In that way, you and the objects of refuge become inseparable. Then from there, we will chant the bodhicitta, which is the next prayer, giving rise to bodhicitta, which is, why am I doing this practice? Why am I practicing Achi? I'm practicing it for the benefit of all beings, for the awakening and enlightenment of all beings. Jidarelume Gyamne Gunju Sun Nangtar Chugu Lungu Chugu Sun Sangwa Tsalung Tile Changchu Sem Nguwo Dungi Dama Dare Ma Changchu Baru Mida Gyamsu Ji Jidarelume Gyamne Gunju Sun Nangtar Chugu Lungu Zhugu Lungu Zhugu Sun Zangwa Zalong Tigle Changchub Sem Ngobo Tonggi Nama Dare Ma Changchub Bardu Medra Kyabzu Ji Jidara Lume Kyabne Gonjo Zum Namda Zhugu Lungu Zhugu Sun Zangwa Zalong Tigle Changchub Sem O Dongye Dharma Darema Changju Barun Idra Gyabsu Ju. Now let the objects of refuge dissolve into yourself. Thinking that with the blessings and support of the objects of refuge, we now have the capacity to generate bodhicitta. The basis of bodhicitta is the four immeasurable minds. Nangwa Juzu Madhu Gurwe Na Gyumara Gyamshin Lobe Lamgo Dronam Gao Ge Nele Drajir Du Tsadang Kadu Nyamga Ji Jungru Miji Zeme Shi Semge Do Nangwa Juzu Madhu Gurwe Na Gyuma Gyamshin Longpe Lamgo We Dronam Gyauke Nele Dajir Du Tsadang Kadu Ngang Nyam Nga Ji Jung Ru Mi Ji Zeme Shi Ye Semge Du Ho Nang Wa Chu Ju Ma Do Korwe Nang Gyuma Gyamshin Longpe Lamgo We Dronam Gyauke Nele Dajir Du Tsadang Kadu Nyam Nga Ji Jung Ru Mi Ji Zeme Shi Ye Sem No. The third Ngondo preliminary is the Vajrasattva practice. So you visualize your guru as Vajrasattva, male and female together. The wisdom and skillful means aspect of the guru mind, which is the nature of your own mind, to appear in the space right above you. And then from there, we look towards the guru and reflect on all the negativities that we have created that have created suffering for ourselves and others, all the karmic habits, all the lapses in vows, all of that, we pray that we are purified and cleansed of them. Jivo lama durje sembani yam yun yumsu pekyo tamki shu kurze tome nesa dingren kun gusu ramgo nongyo chenpo sha chime chije megi daza nangwa zo. Vajrasattva Hong 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 Vajrasattva Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong Om Vajrasattva Hong. Then Guru, Vajrasattva, male and female, we think that still remaining above our heads, and think that how through their blessings now our negative karma, karmic imprints, all accumulated negativity has been purified. Then finally they dissolve into us. This time when they dissolve into this opening at the crown of our head. Then you should also release your fixation on yourself as having this form or that form, thinking that as the Guru dissolves into you, you also dissolve into the great expanse of the Dharmakaya. Then in a single instant, again, Achi and the objects of refuge appear in the space in front of us. And now we do Mandela Offering to them. Mandela Offering, it says, outwardly, what am I offering? I'm offering this universe. And all the beings and all the experiences I have externally that I offer. Inwardly, my flesh, my blood, my bones, all the things that constitute this body, which is the basis for my attachment to everything else, that also I offer to the objects of refuge. And then finally, in the most deepest level, all the meditative attainments, enjoyments, experiences that arise all the way from beginning up until the attainment of the four joys, attainment of realization of emptiness, all of that we offer to the objects of refuge. So outer, inner, secret. Then finally, the ultimate absolute offering, which is the true nature of all phenomena, that realization we also offer to the field of refuge, the objects of refuge, in particular as embodied in the form of Achi. Ji dhara nangwa no ju ge du zu nang dar do je zin du sha ta ru sangwa de dong ga shi me ju ru ju yu ni me rang ri cao sha ru ba lo yi lang ne men de di bu lo ji da nangwa no ju ge du zu nang dar do je zing zhu sha ta ru sangwa de dong ga shi me jung ro ju yu ni me rang li xiao sha wa lo yi lang ne men de di bu lo rum ji da nang wa no ju ge du zo nang dar do je zin zhu sha ta ru sangwa de dong ga shi me jung ro ju yu ni me rang li xiao sha wa lo yi lang ne men de di bu lo. Now, once again, think that the objects of refuge in front dissolves and then enter and dissolve into you again from this spot in between your eyebrows. Then, even though it doesn't explicitly say so, for this next section, which is the most secret sadhana of the Guru, Achi as Guru, even though the sadhana does not explicitly say here, often when we're doing Guru Yoga practice, you should visualize yourself as the Edam. The Edam for this cycle, this pure vision cycle of Achi, is generally Vajakkiilaya. So here in this part, in the most secret sadhana of the Guru, the first section describes Achi in a little bit more detail in the form of Panya Paramita. Then we pay homage to Achi, we make offerings to Achi. Then we make prayers to Guru as Achi, asking for the Guru's blessings so that we can understand the Dharma instructions that we receive, and we can practice and actualize those instructions. Before we do that practice, I also want to remind you that in terms of the 4 uncommon ngondro that we just did, in this text, the 4 uncommon ngondro is refuge, bodhicitta, Vajrasattva purification, and Mandela offering. Yeah, so these are the 4 uncommon ngondro. When you practice these 4 uncommon ngondro in this text, you should also bring to mind the 4 common ngondro. So when you do refuge, you should think about the first common ngondro, which is how you have now obtained a precious human life. So instead of wasting it away, you should go in the direction of liberation. And that is the meaning of taking refuge. So you pair the first common ngondro with the first uncommon ngondro. Then you should bring to mind the second common ngondro, which is impermanence. How quickly we can lose this precious human life. And understanding this truth about impermanence, then we find that there is no more meaningful thing than to commit ourselves to the Bodhisattva path by generating the 2 bodhicittas. The 2 bodhicittas will remain with us until we have completely achieved the state of Buddha. Then the third common ngondro, which is reflecting on cause and effect, that should be paired with the third uncommon ngondro, Vajrasattva practice. So reflecting again on all the ways in which we have acted unskillfully and therefore created the causes of suffering for both self and other, then reflecting that and reflecting on the importance of creating the causes of happiness, then we do the Vajrasattva practice. Then the fourth common ngondro, which is reflecting on how in all the six realms of confusion, even in the highest God realms, within this state of confusion. So for some of us, we are really living like in the God realms, So you don't need to wait until you're reborn there, right now even. See how all of this, is in fact unreliable. So there's nothing worth being attached to. So then in that way, then all our experiences of, no matter how wonderful, then of course all the experiences that we do not desire even, but especially all the experiences that we consider to be so wonderful within this life when things go really well, right? All of that now, instead of being attached to that, instead of relying on that, we offer them all to the three jewels. So then this is the Mandela Offering principle. So now you see how the four thoughts that turn the mind, the four common ngondro, should be paired with the four uncommon ngondro. With these four common and uncommon ngondro, then now, at least in theory, our minds are ripe, our minds are ready to be guided by the Guru and to be able to practice the Dharma and to actualize the Dharma. Shri Rangdu Namkara Sazir Kyuelo Bema Dawa Sebe Den Tendu Chugu Yumchen Yinchu Chugi Dung Karso Dang Den Chinsum Ying Lazi Chudru Naso Chigyu Tamki Shu Jani Nyamsa Serjin Puti Nam Thakur Lama Edam Sanje Dan Changsem Chogyong Sonam Chomso Thar Shubar Dalu Jewa Chuje Ne Chase Zeme Kunsa Choten Tha Ramchu Chobe Sugi Chobar Ge Ma Gongshi Machi Rinpoche Dala Gyamne Gyoshe Maji Na Zewa Chenpo Tuki Gonzola Kunsan Dome Gyase Amazin Bar Maye Tuki Longde Madruji Nyamda Milang Gandu Yin Yang Rum Bola Gede Menga Tsedu So. Namo Dhamma Dare Mahamudra Siddhi Balahum 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 Namo Dhamma Dare Mahamudra Siddhi Balahum. Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare. Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha. Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, 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 Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho. Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho, Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho. Namo Dhammadare Mahamudra Siddha Balaho. Now we pray to Achi Guru to receive the empowerments. So here it talks about the empowerments of body, speech, and mind. So from Achi's crown center, forehead center, white light comes to our crown center. From Achi's throat center, red light comes to our throat center. From Achi's heart center, blue light comes to our heart center. And then the final line of this section says Achi melts into light and dissolve inseparably into me, again entering from this point. At that point, you think the fourth empowerment is received. The Mahamudra empowerment, the fourth empowerment, sometimes called the word empowerment, is received. So in this way, all four empowerments are received. Sowa tabe maji gusum le uze chode rangi ne sum tem gusun dida gusun sabun te maji oshu rangda yerme gyuru. Now, in a single instant, instantaneously, you reappear now in the form that is inseparable from Achi Guru. And then in that state of being, of having achieved the state of the Guru, we make the following dedication prayer. Gewa de nerde da jugu yumchen drumgyur ne towa chikyam halopa deye sala gopar shur. Next, the auspicious verses, the verses of blessings. Om Sodi Chodu Dashi Bhagyu Chi Shin Yon Suda Pe Bodhana Druk Bada Dorje Changchen Na Pel Den Tili Naro So Jin La Jugyu Ma Je Pa Jigyu Bela Ma Dashi Gongshi Dejin Jugi Gu Pa Me Yonten Rinjin Gyalzengi Ju Ju Jide Malu Kyabze Ba Gumbo Pamo Dube Dashi Om In Ju Gona Pa Zawe Lama Rinpoche Gu Zendan Peje Pelbarashi Sun Tejen Jugi Ngaro Dro Tu Tobe Mikyo Dorje Chang Pa Sanje Deyi Tashi Toma Bardang Ta Ye Shi Zab Shi Cho Dro Du Ma Ji Du Tsida Bui Rinpoche Dam Ju De Yi Tashi La Pa Zungi Gyu Jan Shi Mugu Ta Jing To Pare Den Shi Mi Do Pa Su Gi Ju Gen Den Du Be Ta Shi Sho. So you can see that in the next part is the Gana Chakra offering. So if you are going to do Gana Chakra offering, this is done after the mantra recitation for the Guru. So you insert this top offering into the part where it's after you do the mantra recitation and before you receive the 4 empowerments. So now there is the inner sadhana of the Edam deity. So in the inner sadhana of the Edam deity, the actual Edam section is very brief, just 4 lines. It doesn't explicitly say, this form of Vajakkiilaya, how many arms, how many legs, all of that. So you can visualize Vajakkiilaya in the way that you know how Vajakkiilaya looks like, or you can also visualize what is described in the next section of this text in the activity section of the Edam. It's described a form of Achi, wrathful, holding a kila with her right hand. She holds a vajra, with her left hand she holds a kila. So you can also visualize yourself as Edam in that form, or the general form of Vajakkiilaya is also fine. Just as a side note, for me, myself, when I practice this, then I usually, as the Edam is Vajakkiilaya, the usual form of Vajakkiilaya, then if I continue on to the activity section of the Edam practice, that is when I visualize manifesting from the heart of Vajakkiilaya, the usual form, is the wrathful Achi Vajakkiilaya form, which is the, dark complexion, fiery hair, right hand holding vajra, left hand holding kila. Anyway, for this morning's practice, we won't go into the activity section of the Edam, because actually what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to the Darkini section. Because in the Darkini section, you need to be holding the pride of the deity. You need to yourself have the pride of the Edam in order to be in the presence of the Darkini. Nangzi shishin tenle purbe la keji ne la dangze dreme tu yene damye yerme jing tu se ngada du tong du jing du tam du. Vajakkiilaya sarva be nebang hong pe. 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 Vajakkiilaya Gilaya Sarvabe Nembang Hum 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 Pe. Vajakkiilaya Gilaya Sarvabe Hum Pe. So now please go to the dissolution stage for this Edam practice. It's a few pages further. In the English text that I have, that version that I have, it is on page 8. So the interpreters, please look for that section. It starts with, in the Tibetan, it says, La cho nam kyang so moi kula du. La cho nam kyang so moi kula du. Cho moi tuke hung ye la timne. La cho nam kyang so moi kula du. So this dissolution stage recitation is clearly written for when you have done the activities section, where you have manifested yourself as this female, very wrathful form of Achi, because in the words it says, all deities dissolve into the main goddess dissolve into the Hong, dissolve until into non-conceptual expanse, and then from there reappearing again as Vajakkiilaya. So the words here is describing the goddess form. If you have not manifested out as the goddess, then instead of the main goddess, then you can just say the main deity. So in the Tibetan, it would be like Lacho Namkyang Tsowo Ku, the main form, and then Tsowo Toke Hongyik La Timne. Tsowo means principle, main deity, which is Vajakkiilaya, whether in the traditional Vajakkiilaya form or in the form of this wrathful Achi. Whether the Edam, whether you visualize in the regular Vajakkiilaya form or in the very wrathful Achi form, after dissolving here, when you reappear, you should reappear as, generally speaking, you should reappear as the male form of Vajakkiilaya, because when we go to the Darkini practice, we invoke Achi Darkini, the secret practice, to be in front in the space in front of us. Basically, there, principally, we're training with refining our afflictive poison of desire, attachment. So the language there, if you remember from the last time, it says, oh, I don't have a companion. Basically, it's sort of saying, I don't have a partner, I don't have, a girlfriend, or, I don't have my partner. So, but be my partner, be close to me, never leave me. And so the language there used is that kind of lovers. But of course, this is not ordinary love anymore. This is a way to purify our attachment. Because on the deepest level, why we crave for someone else is because we feel that we are not complete. Yes, of course, right now we're not complete because our afflictive emotions are obscuring how our complete nature is. So Achi as Darkini is basically the wisdom aspect. Then yourself is the skillful means compassion aspect. So when Achi is practiced as Darkini, is the union of what we find lacking in us right now. So in the ordinary world that most of us live in, where we think of attraction as between male and female, then, the technique is you think of yourself as male, and then the Darkini appear as female in front of you. So the sadhana is written in this way. But if you're not so rigid about, attraction is only male with female, then male, male, female, female, whatever it is. The bottom line is whatever that makes you feel like I still long for a partner, transform that into longing for completeness. So we say Dzogchen, great completion. So now the Darkini will complete us. Or for others, the Darka will complete us. Whatever energetic imbalance that we need to balance and become complete again, that's the Darkini principle. La so nam kyan tsu mu gu la du tsu wu tu ke hong ye la de ne sham kyu gu pa gu da din le ne na da tra wa me me yin su ye la yang ke la ya I guru guru. Edam la tso jungyu ne toba chikyam malu ba deye sala go bar sho. O nansi tamje doje shunu gu adada malu benza gile su honden to shado kumara yedu horana dare sangsum trashi sho. Under this activity section of the Edam, at the end, appended to that is the sling. So this is the Tibetan sling. You put this rock here, and then you swing, and then you release. The rock goes flying. If you don't know how to do it, the sling, you're going to. If you don't know how to use, you're going to hurt yourself. So this is the sling that is used for this last kind of activity. Yeah, anyway, for those of you who are curious what this sling looks like, this is what it looks like. I got this from a nomad in Tibet many years ago. Driving around, we saw a nomad taking care of his yaks. We stopped and ran after him and said, "Hey, you got a sling?" He thought we were really strange. Yeah, so now we go to the Darkini. The Darkini practice. I already explained the principle of this Darkini practice. Last week, especially, or rather last month, when we looked at this section, I already gave the more detailed explanation. So now we'll just do this practice. Yes, I saw some people mention they cannot hear me. It's specifically is right after bell and damaru. The way the zoom sound, when there's very loud sound, yeah, it kind of cuts it down. Then when I speak again, for a while it's silent. I will try to remember that, so I'll repeat myself. There's no other way to compensate except to get Zoom to register again that, you know, I'm speaking in normal sound. Then it should turn back on. It's just some less than perfect samsara between microphone and Zoom. So the visualization described here for the secret sadhana of Achi as Darkini is described very beautifully. It creates a very peaceful, beautiful, alluring, you know, attractive environment. In particular, you know, she holds a skull cup filled with nectar, which is the essence of life. So later, activities related to the Darkini practice is the summoning of prosperity and the summoning of life practice. Yeah? Now, here, why she appears, the Darkini is appearing with a nectar of life and holding this arrow. In her case, she's holding to this arrow with silks of the 5 colors. In this case, so it's about the nectar of life, right? So this is related to our attachments. When we have ordinary attachment, ordinary desire, ordinary lust, you know, we deplete our life energies. Our life energies are constantly flowing out, constantly being frustrated. So then it depletes life in that sense. So the Darkini as the element that restores balance in us, restores life, restores stability. Because when we feel like I'm alone, I don't have enough, I this, I that, the more you feel like that, the more energy you're going to lose. But when you practice this Achi as Darkini, again, is to restore the energy that we lose based on this mind that says, you know, I'm not enough, I'm not complete, I'm missing, you know. Of course, right now, you know, like on a relative level, if you feel like that, then you feel like that. And if you just suppress it, it's not going to work. That's why in this Vajrayana method, instead of suppressing and pretending that you don't feel this way, you acknowledge this feeling, but now you try to, or not you try to, you use this method of Achi as Darkini to make yourself regain the completeness. So here symbolized by all the life energies come back to you, including prosperity comes back to you. Then you glow with life. And so the notes for the Darkini mantra recitation, it says, you know, it says, you keep joy in your heart. Basically, bliss in your heart.
you should feel this life energy that keeps you satisfied, keeps you blissful, keeps you joyful. So that's the predominant kind of feeling you should generate when you recite the Darkini mantra. Satisfaction, joy, bliss, completeness. Geje dunge namgaru medo lingu rabzepe thana dube shinkamse deu beme dumbo de dharma rabge gezaru kandro gunje jeje mo jugi droma garze Chudu naso langso ge zembe ge chun tam shi shu dardan za o denze so utra changlo gyam tu tu seru rana chu ben jin ja ye ga do nga den ki dada yo jin ze ju gu ja yun du zi gang wa yi Tu no nam shin chu nam du de cha ge be zum dang ki so de bula ze be ze ama dharma tare ma nyam tha gome bu tru la tu ge ma do tu je go Dromo jugi droma gyu ninzen du du gundu ya Drome dala dromo zo zalo dewe drugone Deje rabge nulam tun kandru wanju dejen mo So de nyam chun nyam jo da zedi nang wa no ma tha Magyo dage chodan je lampe zormone zunde dabe shindu drowa ye lamton lamna drimpar zo Dhammadare je dumne ja sede balahum Dharmadare je dumne ja sede balahum Dhammadare dum Dhammadare je dumne ja sede balahum 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 Dhammadare dumne ja sede balahum Dhammadare je 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 dumne ja Dhammadare je dumne ja sede balahum 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 Dhammadare Dhammadare je dumne ja sede balahum 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 Dhammadare je dumne ja Dhammadare je dumne ja sede balahum 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 Dharma Daridze Dum Nirjaza Zede Balahum Dharma Daridze Dum Nirjaza Zede Balahum Dharma Daridze Dum Nirja Zede Balahum Dharma Daridze Dum Nirja Zede Balahum Dharma Daridze Dum Nirja Zede Balahum. So now think that with your invoking her, she is filled with bliss and joy. And then from her, this bliss emanate red lights that dissolve into yourself, and you begin to glow in this red radiance. That means all your life energies come back and you're glowing with life energies. And then Achi, Darkini dissolve and is absorbed into yourself, and you dissolve too. Debe tugi ge kande secha debe yoshindu tule oze marbudu dagi ninge uzudim dagi daze zendem yen oze marbu damgi gang Shomshi Jawe Guru Se Gandru Oshu Rangla Tim Rabyan Tong Se Jazun Shi Mimi Zogba Chenpo Ra Gewa diye nerdu da yishe kandu drukju ne Rawa jigya malu ba deye sala gobra sho Nanse daba kaju shing Dar benza bara ye Dento jogu yimgi lo Yesu sumden tra shi sho So let's see. We'll have to get Zoom to pick up my voice. Can you hear me yet? Yes, no, maybe. So anyway, if you were going to do the two activities appended to the Darkini practice, which is the summoning of prosperity and also the summoning of life, these two practices, then they should be done before the dissolution stage. So after reciting the mantras and before you do the Achi's red light coming to you, filling you all with red light, before that. After reciting the mantra, then you go to the two activities of summoning prosperity, and that you use a white a dada with only white streamers, not 5 colors. Then the summoning of life. The summoning of life, that one you do with the 5 colored summoning of life. The summoning of life is actually appended to the Dharmapala later on. So anyway, for the summoning of prosperity, it's done before the dissolution. And so now let's take a quick break here, and then we will continue on a little bit more today. So we're back. So let's see if there are any questions. Let's see. There's in the chat. Question is how to visualize the Vajakkiilaya mantra in Edam. There is no explicit, so however, the most common visualization for Edam mantra practice is basically the light from the heart center going out to perform what's known as the two activities. First activity is making offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in all directions. Then, as a result, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas' blessings come back and dissolve into the mantra garland in the heart and the seed syllable in the center. Then next, life goes out now to liberate beings from samsara. So then this second time the light goes out, transforming all beings into the form, into being identical with yourself in the form of Vajakkiilaya. And then the light gets reabsorbed back into the heart. Then light goes out again, making offerings once again. And then light comes back in, carrying all the blessings. Then light goes out again, liberating beings from suffering. And so like all the difficult places, like right now, a terrible earthquake in Haiti, you think light goes out, relieving the suffering, then light comes back into the heart. Yeah. There's a follow-up question that says, in which form do I visualize myself during this? I'm assuming this is talking about asking, when I say this light goes out, comes back in, goes out and comes back in. We're talking about the context of Edam practice. So as I explained very briefly this time, but in other classes that we've already done, the Edam section, you can either visualize as the usual form of Vajakkiilaya, or as that female form that is described in the activity section. There's a question in Spanish about where to get the different images for this cycle of practice. Many people have the image of this cycle of practice, a tanka that was painted several years back based on the instructions of Nubar Rinpoche. So I'm sure some of you here have it, so you can share this in the chat if you have it. There's another question that says, during Guru Achi practice, do we visualize oneself as Edam Achi? As I mentioned when we did that section, I said, you visualize as, since Vajakkiilaya is the main Edam in this cycle, then it's best you visualize as Vajakkiilaya. Some time ago, someone asked on an email, can we substitute the Edam with some other Edam, such as if we do Chakra Samvara, can we substitute? So my answer is that of course, you know, all Edam deities, if they are Edam, they are all Buddhas and they all have the Buddha qualities. And so in terms of that, whichever Edam you do does not really matter. Except that in the context of this sadhana, a very specific Edam is mentioned. The name is given. And there is Achi as Edam practice. Then if we start substituting what is described here with other Edam, then it seems like, it just feels like there's no point practicing this Edam practice, right? So again, in the bigger principle, of course, all the Edams have the same nature. But in this cycle, the Edam is identified as Vajakkiilaya, either in the ordinary Vajakkiilaya form, as in the more common Vajakkiilaya form, or in this section where during carrying out the wrathful activities, the 4 activities, a secondary female wrathful Vajakkiilaya is emanated. So in either of those, then we should follow what is described in the sadhana and not replace with Chakra Samvara, you know, replace with He Vajra. Is there a more extensive version of this sadhana in Tibetan? Oh my gosh. You must have a lot of time. Not that I know of. I think this is the sadhana that was put together. If there is, then maybe it's waiting for you to discover when you receive a further pure vision from Achi. But right now, this is the complete sadhana with all the different sections. There might be, you know, like added with like a lineage prayer, you know, but this is the original, the one that we have. Then there was a question earlier about, you know, how possibly in some other lineage that people that have Achi practice, they regard Achi as a worldly deity. And then in this case, we don't see Achi as a worldly deity. Can I say something about it? I have nothing to say except that, yes, some people think she's a worldly deity. Then those are some people. You need to talk to those some people. Basically, it becomes, you know, they say, we say, we say, they say. Then here we say Achi can be practiced as Guru, Achi can be practiced as Edam, Achi can be practiced as Darkini, Achi can be practiced as Dharmapala. So yeah, this is what we say here, you know. And that's all that there is to say. I mean, what else is there to say? Even like with Nagarjuna, you know, there's like some texts say Nagarjuna is first bhumi. Some texts say Nagarjuna is 10th bhumi. And then what else is there to say, you know? This says this, that says that, you know? Only thing to do is to get to the 10th bhumi and look around and see if you see Nagarjuna or not, you know? If you could get to the 10th bhumi, you know, and Nagarjuna is sitting around in the 10th bhumi lounge, you know, you're like, oh, yes, you are 10th, you know. But at the beginning of this whole series, I said, it is not common for a Dharmapala. So Achi, first and foremost, is a Dharmapala, Dharma protector. It is not so common for a Dharma protector to be also practiced as Guru, Edam, Darkini, Dharmapala, like this, you know. So I did say, you know, if you ask me, my opinion is there's no need to go talk too much to other people about, oh, there is Achi as Guru, Achi as Edam. Especially if yourself don't have much experience practicing this and therefore have not seen the benefits or the power of this. And then you go talk to other people about these things. Then other people are going to introduce doubt in your mind. And then other people are going to convince you otherwise. And then you yourself get moved then you invite a lot of confusion and trouble. And even if you ask me personally, even Achi as Dharmapala, these days it seems it has become fashionable to announce to the world, who your Dharmapala is. In the old days in Tibet, that would be unthinkable. Most Dharmapala shrines in monasteries, most people are not allowed to go in. Because this is secret mantra, There's a reason why it's called secret mantra. Secret here, again, it doesn't mean CIA secret. It means very personal, very intimate. So you don't go talk about to other people. The power becomes stronger if it is kept deep inside. If you are like blah, 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 you dissipate the power of your practice. I know some very old style, old school lamas, that will not talk about, especially Dharmapala practice at all. They keep silent. It's like the it's like the wizardry world of Harry Potter, part of if you're a wizard, a witch, you're not supposed to let the muggles know, you are. You have these information. Otherwise, you invite a lot of trouble. So, other questions? If not, next month we will have class, but not on the third Sunday, because on the third Sunday I'm not able to do it. So instead, we're going to have it on September 26th. Oh, actually, never mind. Not September 26th. I will send an update to everyone. Not 26, not 19, and not 12. It's very busy, things that are coming up. So possibly the 5th, September 5th, so that we don't wait too long. I will confirm that, possibly September 5th, as long as I don't have, September, those last few weeks, I'll be traveling on the road, doing a sand mandala somewhere, officiating a wedding somewhere else, leading a retreat somewhere, one weekend after another. So I think most likely it will be the weekend of the 5th, Sunday, the 5th. At that one, we will look at Achi as Dharmapala. Achi as Dharmapala. And that will be the last class for this series, the Achi as Dharmapala. Yes, we did not cover all the kind of extra sections for each of these. That I think you have to go ask that from somebody else. There's a lot of details, and then maybe in the future, if the conditions are right, we can do that. But meanwhile, if you're impatient, you can ask other people. But next time we meet, we will look at Achi as Dharmapala. There is a question. Usually when Vajakkiilaya part, is that we should stable first more in Darkini form first? If you are referring to that you should visualize the wrathful Achi, not necessarily so. As I said, the usual form of Vajakkiilaya is what I do. Then if I go on to do the activity section of the Edam section, then of course follow the text where you emanate the black, wrathful Vajakkiilaya Darkini as Achi, right hand holding Vajra, left hand holding Kila, seated in this triangular iron box. There is some, I know that more generally when this is taught, usually the Lamas say the Edam for Vajakkiilaya section in this sadhana, immediately you should visualize yourself as this wrathful black Achi Kilaya. Yeah, holding the Vajra, holding a Kila. So if you are comfortable doing that, yes, please do that. I'm just saying myself, I do the more common form of Vajakkiilaya. And then from there emanate the wrathful black Darkini for the activities. One of the reasons in the history of this pure vision cycle, It is said that the previous Trisap Rinpoche, the causes and conditions for him to receive this pure vision cycle is that he had gone to Lhasa to receive teachings and empowerments from the previous Dunjum Rinpoche. And specifically, I think it said there, or not I think, but it said there that the main thing he received was the Vajakkiilaya from Dunjum Rinpoche. Then when he finished that and went back to Drigong, he went into retreat. The sources don't say explicitly what he went into retreat to practice, but based on the fact that he went to Lhasa to receive transmissions from Dunjum Rinpoche, followed, and then specifically saying that he received Vajakkiilaya, then from there, you can surmise that he went into retreat to practice Vajakkiilaya, and within the context of his Vajakkiilaya retreat, then this pure vision cycle came to him. And there's a question. These three forms of Achi on that Tamka look so different from the general Achi with 4 retinue deities, as in Kyopa Rinpoche Sadhana. How can I convince myself Achi is all these different forms? Oh, I don't know how to convince yourself. Not my job, you know. Yeah, you know. It's your business, you know. Yeah, you know, like these are questions we do ask, you know, but nobody can answer these kinds of questions for you. It doesn't mean you should not ask, but it just know that nobody can really answer these questions for you. You have to discover the answers slowly, slowly yourself. So you begin with what you already have confidence in, you know, that you practice that, that's enough. I mean, I have other friends who said, you know, you guys, you know, your Buddhas look so different from Buddha Shakyamuni. How can I convince myself, you know? your Buddhas with like so many heads, so many hands. Some have breasts, some have fangs, you know. It's like, how can that be Buddha? I said, well, I have no reason to try to convince you that all these are Buddhas, so you leave them alone. You meditate on Buddha Shakyamuni, that's enough. Whatever you have confidence in, whatever inspires you to actualize the Buddha qualities, to practice the two bodhicittas, that's most important. Yeah, I'm sure there are Drigong monks and nuns even, you know, looking at the sadhana, they say, oh no, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. Then they don't practice this, you know. Then they keep to what they feel confident with. Yeah? Mainly like this. Yeah. The problem of afflictive emotions are the main problem to tackle. The rest are just, you know, extra problems. Don't invite them. Then in terms of the problems of the afflictive emotions and the negative karma they generate, you know, and then the negative effects of suffering that we experience, then the supreme method is the practice of the two bodhicittas. Jasper, if you're there, can you share the screen of the tanka painted of the for this pure vision cycle, or somebody, if you have the ability to share a screen, can you share that? And then I will quickly go over that image, that tanka, which is which and what is what. Or whoever knows how to share a screen with that image. If you put your hand up, I'll give you the superpower to share a screen. Yeah, you should be able to share. Jasper, let's see again. Okay, now. Okay, you are co-host now. Okay, see if you can make this any bigger. Yeah, the central figure, that's the Achi as Guru, Panyaparamita. So she is seated with the text in her hands, meditation posture. Now, then immediately above her is Vajrasattva, male and female. So that is for the Vajrasattva practice. Then to Vajrasattva's right, to the right of Vajrasattva, that is the Kilaya, wrathful Achi, that manifests sitting on the triangular metal box. that is described in the activity section of the Edam. Right hand holding Vajra, left hand holding Purva. Then to Vajrasattvas left, that is Achi as Darkini, holding the arrow and the kapala filled with nectar of immortality. Okay, now go down. Then in that right bottom corner, right of there, that is the Achi as Darkini as well, but here then is summoning prosperity. So holding the arrow with the white ribbon, and then all the prosperity stuff that is in front on the table, all the good stuff. Then in the other corner is the Achi as Dharmapala. That's the most common form of Achi that we are familiar with, seated on a blue horse. So that is Achi as Dharmapala. And then all the wrathful offerings that is in front of her. So zoom out a little. So just to point out, this tanka is painted in what's known as the Drigung style of painting. So one of the characteristics of Drigung style of painting is that the background is not so busy. Background is more open. And the telltale sign is the way the mountains are. They are pointed. They are pointed, the mountains. So it's said that in the Drigung region, you can see these kinds of mountains. Not literally that pointy. I've been to Drigung 4 or 5 times. Not literally that sharp, you know. But generally, the mountains in the Drigung region have these kind of peaks like this. And so as a result, the Drigung style of art painting have those types of mountains and green. So that's a Drigung style tanka painter. A modern painter painted that, but employing, you know, the characteristics of the old Drigung paintings. So that's that tanka. Okay. So let's end with bodhicitta dedication. Chanju Samcho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyuji Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Ya Gong Ne Gong Du Bel War Shou. Okay, so you all have a good evening, good night, good week. Probably September 5th. Yeah, I will confirm soon once I've checked my calendar. Is the next class. Tata.晚安。